Hey guys, it's Tony. I'm gonna throw a mug today. Got about 12 ounces of clay. And I'm gonna use some Laguna, I believe it's B-3. It's nice chocolatey dark brown clay. I like to pre-wedge my clay before I actually start throwing, so I have like 10 or 15 ready to go at any time. So I'll start by kind of coning downwards, and then I'll try to center with a little bit of water and some speed. Use a rib tool to kind of push out the inside and to kind of make a nice transition at the base on the inside. A little bit of clay that's built up on it. Okay, so I have a nice wall thickness right now. So I just need to do a couple things to finish off this pot. I like to sponge off the inside. I take a little sharp tool, a little curve to it, and it's got a bit of an angle. So I'll go in and clean off or undercut the bottom just a bit. Really slow down the wheel. Then I'll leather off the rim. This one's tucked a little inward, so I'm going to just pull it out just a bit. I'll take a wire, cut it off the wheel, wash my hands. And I'll set this out to the side and it'll dry for a half a day or so. Alright, so with this next part, we've got the mug and it's, or this is a mug body, it's dried off pretty significantly. So now what I need to do is to very gently remove it from the bat. And since it will support its own weight, I can hang it upside down or stand it up on this surface right here. I'm going to scrape off this excess clay and let this dry out. These are called Wonder Bats and they need to be stored vertically. So kind of stand them up on their sides like this so they don't warp. You don't want to leave them like this. Okay. So now what I need to do is to put a nice grip on the cup and then I can start to trim it down. So with this one I'll do an integrated foot. So the side of the cup will go all the way down to the floor. But on the inside I'm going to hollow out a little section. So after I remove enough material, what I'll do is I'll take a rib and I'm going to smooth out that section so that you won't see any drag lines. And sometimes you could use your fingers and that'll be enough to smooth out that section. Now I'll go back and I'm going to hollow out a small section in the center. Okay, looking good. I'm going to hollow out just a little bit more. So end by smoothing out this section, the foot ring. I usually go back and sand these with the diamond bit, but it doesn't hurt to try to flatten everything out. So now that I've got the ring trimmed in, you have to be careful, try not to mess with the cups too much. Now it's ready to attach a handle. Okay, so we've got our last step of the process. What I've got is my mug body. So this was thrown with 12 ounces of clay, very, very minimal waste. And then I have a pulled handle that's kind of dried for a bit. So what I need to do is to figure out how I could bend this enough and to get this to attach in a proper way to the mug body. So these have been sitting out for probably maybe about 40 minutes, and it's about 75 degrees outside in Los Angeles, so it's not too hot. You want to have enough leeway in purchase so it doesn't crack. So far it's looking pretty good, and what I need to see is like, okay, how is this going to look nice? Got a little pocket knife right here, so what I'll do is I'm going to use that to make my cut. So little tiny slice. This leftover piece of clay, I just recycle that later. And so it's going to attach somewhere like this, and then this part will drop down here. I'm going to make a little tiny slice right here, so I'll have that area go flat against the side of the mug. Okay. See a little bit of an imperfection on this side, so that's where my attachment's going to happen. So got a little bit of liquid clay slip. So we'll just take some of that and I'll apply it to this part right here. I'll score the clay just a bit, but not too much. This clay is really moist, so I'm not too worried about it attaching properly. Just a little bit right there. Score it just a bit. And then what I'll do is I'll apply a little bit of that moist clay to the actual handle. So you'd like all these pieces to equilibrate. So ideally you have the same amount of moisture in the cup as you do inside as the handle. So a gentle little push, and try not to deform the cup too much, but I can already see it going out of round. I like to put the cup at the end of the table, so just a little bit more control. And so far so good. So I'm cradling the cup from the inside and I'm trying to push it in. Or I got my fingers inside the cup and I'm pushing it outwards, and I'm on the handle right here, I'm pushing inwards. I'll do the same over here. Notice I'm a little out of round, so I'm gonna put a little bit more pressure going this way. And I'll just examine it. I find if I need to not mess with the cup too much, because then I'll have really good results. If I handle it too much, then what happens is it starts to crack and fall apart and it'll get deformed. Okay, so I'm gonna clean off my little wooden mixing knife, and what I'll do is try to blend that clay into the surface. That will help make a nice smooth transition. But again, I'm not going to mess with it too much. Sometimes you leave like a little bit of a gap, or if the clay, if the handle and the body are not as damp, if they have, they don't have a similar amount of dampness to them, I find you get the slightest like little split, and like the handle will stay on, and you can glaze it appropriately, and it'll fire, and it'll, I have mugs that are 2-3 years old. However, like the problem is that you get these little pinholes, these little tiny spots where the glaze doesn't catch appropriately, and then it just looks like an ugly mug. So you want to make sure you seal the deal. Okay, might be a little risky. I pick this guy up and just going to quickly examine it. Can go back in and start to shape this bottom part of the handle. Can round it off just a bit. And just a quick examination of the bottom. Just quickly stand up. It's also a good idea to check your mug from the top to see if this part is in line with this one. You also want to look directly at it to make sure they're not tilted inappropriately, because it's not going to be so comfortable when you decide to pick up the cup and start to drink from it. Okay, I think we're looking good. So there it is. It's a nice little mug, and I think this will be a good teacup. By the time it fires, it'll be about this tall, and it should be considerably narrower, but you can get a good 8 to 10 ounces of hot tea inside. Hope you've enjoyed watching this. Thanks. Bye-bye.